Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Acting with an Amateur. This episode will be about acting crazy, which is a very interesting thing to discuss because I feel like it's a very touchy subject to discuss in the best of times and in the worst of times. So I'll do my best to give my input, my non-existent amateur input on it, and the rest is up to you to take from there. And to be fair, these are all 17 of all of these, let's call them lessons. So the biggest thing with it is that, first of all, it all depends on what exactly the character you are portraying, what exactly the definition of crazy means for you, the director, the writer, and all that affects the whole overall project. We can think of explosive behavior, very loud, or maybe it's too soft-spoken, and everything in between, the eye movements, the twitching, there's so many layers to it. And all of this ultimately comes down to be developed together with your director and cinematographer and all that other jazz. With a performance, of course, that always happens, but with something like this, because it's up to the director to really feel like that's too much or that's not enough, and I think it's the kind of thing that will ultimately be very focused on the journey of the character and what's needed. And it feels like, isn't that every character and like, I want to say yes, but there's something about it that feels almost different in that way, where like when I play a character that's held back, I know how to play that character, and I understand when the scene requires him to be explosive, I will do so in an appropriate manner to the character. But when you play a crazy character, that works a little different. If you have complete free reign, that means you can go high, low, up, down, all around whenever you want, and that can be engaging. But that also means that you need to understand if it's too much. Is the point of it to be too much? And that's interesting to me, and which is, I do very much attach myself and push myself towards these kind of characters because of the flexibility in the way that they're portrayed, and usually, hopefully, if you have a good performer, there can truly be something behind that idea where a character is, quote unquote insane and therefore stereotypically bad, but behind, let's say, the madness, there is purpose and intent and a reason, a motive, and can be understood. I find that kind of character complex and interesting to me because despite the wrongdoings, there is that beat of humanity still there. So let's just talk about a few examples that are just very popular in media now and just discuss a little bit. Well, I'm going to start with Harley Quinn. So right now, the biggest portrayal we have of the character for a lot of people is Margot Robbie, and obviously the DCEU, God forgive them. And she's a great actress. She does a great job. There's a lot of fun there. The character can be a little all over the place, but that's, again, in a good way. I do enjoy the performance, and she does it believably, and she does it clearly enjoying herself, and therefore that helps that kind of performance. Always, if an actor enjoys what they're doing, it comes through in a very positive way. Apart from that, what I will say is that it's hard to pinpoint on one thing because you're still kind of playing a little bit of the originally should be the shy kind of girl that was just ready to go get the world by storm and develop her style and attitude, and then crazy man makes her fall in love with her, or she chooses to fall in love with him, whatever. You can discuss how that works, and then perceives him as a victim of himself and the world around him and the Batman, blah blah blah, and she's gonna be his shrink / girlfriend, but more his girlfriend / abuse partner. And that's another thing, right? You have this character that's crazy and will do all this other stuff, but then you also have the side to them where they're clearly in an abusive relationship where they come back for more. And you wonder sometimes, like with a character like this that has become big in media. In recent years, she's of course deviated from just the Joker's girlfriend to more, and it's been a great thing to see. But I also do think that it is a very interesting case study to show this character that is such devoted and smart and intellectually sound, well, used to be, kind of go down this path of insanity just because of love. Like, that's her point of insanity, is insane because of love, which that is what I would personally boil it down to. Mad love. That's the stories with her anyway. And there's something nice about that the rationality of you shouldn't do these things gets beaten by the idea of, oh, love, because why the hell not? So it's a really interesting character, so I will always appreciate that aspect, especially, of course, with the whole thing that her being so in love, she still goes back to this insane person that treats her like garbage and that makes her do horrible things, but that's an interesting story. It makes you feel bad for her. She is just as much a victim of the Joker as anyone else, although be it a dangerous one. So the reason I brought up her to begin with was because we're going to go next to a new popular show character that a bunch of people just got to know, is Jinx. So with Jinx is a very interesting thing because, like, just to get this over with, the games don't really give you that much context. There's something there, blah blah blah. A lot of it has been created through the show in Arcane, and clearly the character is supposed to be unstable. It becomes unstable for many different reasons, and could be because of her rough environment and upbringing, and then in her abandonment issues with several people. You know, everyone she has in her life constantly abandons and leaves her in the form of actual physical leaving or dying or what have you. And then you have, you know, the Joker, her Joker being the new father figure that it pushes and encourages these ideals in her of like extremism, whilst Silco is nothing more than like a rebellious extremist trying to be a father figure to this girl because he sees himself in her, again dealing with his own levels of abandonment and blah blah blah. He can still try to kind of control her insanity, and she can kind of control hers. And then, you know, she gets drugged and becomes even more crazy now, and now she's more unhinged than ever. Which now there is more of like a, oh yeah, someone that already had like trauma and didn't know how to behave with social norms now gets, you know, pumped full of crazy juice basically, and now they are crazy because of crazy juice. So it's interesting because the idea of, you know, that crazy juice keep pushing and emphasizing the trauma that already exists there, of abandonment, of self-worth, and all these other things that she's dealing with. And it's a different kind of crazy where, like, I think Harley can be contained and a bit more like on a level where, like, if there is a base level that's kind of above normal, a little erratic, a little always ready to go and crazy. Whilst with Jinx, it's always just like a wow, wow. I like with Harley where it feels like it's a bit more of a build up, maybe a little fall down, build back up. There's something there that feels a bit more gradual in the line. There's like a consistent crazy, if that can make sense. Whilst with Jinx, it's an up and down and a, oh, I saw the wrong thing and now I go wow, and I come back and whoa. It's the performance there, the way you portray that character is a bit more different, and it can also be subtle and quiet. It's very different. But it's interesting and it is fun to watch. You know, the unpredictability is what makes a character entertaining in my perspective. Which brings us to the Joker, probably the most famous crazy character in pop culture at this point. I would say so myself anyway. I obviously, please, there's many people to choose from, many movies, Silence of the Lambs, blah blah blah. You know, but this character that seemingly will do whatever the hell he wants because at the, you know, he's in the mood for it. He's in the mood to murder an ice cream truck lady and drive it, and because he wants to be an ice cream man or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Or now he's in the mood to fuck with the Batman, so he'll, you know, blow up a kid's hospital just to get attention so he can tell him that he misses him, like, you know, or he'll be his girlfriend because, you know, she made a good joke, or she almost got the Batman and he wants to do it because he's a petty little shit. And sure, he's a narcissist and blah 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 blah, and there's all of these things. But then again, like, sometimes you feel like you wonder if there's, like, behind the madness there is a purpose, and then sometimes you think there might be, and then, oh no, there wasn't to begin with. There's just another layer of crazy, which is also super entertaining to watch and visualize because of the unpredictability. I think there's something about that as an audience member, you're thinking, what could he possibly do now? And sometimes you can think of what is he gonna do, and sometimes you go, I have no idea what this per character or story is gonna go to, and I am glued to my seat. I imagine that's why people love Game of Thrones, right? You know, the idea of, like, I don't know where this is gonna go, and that's exciting because it means that, again, predictability. You don't want that. You want to be surprised. And with a show like that, character like that, that's what the Joker is. This machine of chaos where, like, kind of anything could happen, and, you know, hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised, and hopefully it'll be nothing that we expect, or even if it is down the alleyway of what we expected, it gets there in the most unexpected way. So that's what makes it entertaining. So, like, even though you think, oh yeah, he's definitely gonna, whatever, I'm gonna say murder that person, but the fact that he got there in the most, like, what the fuck way is also kind of the thing. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he decides not to murder the person because, nah, it's not funny anymore. There's so many layers to that, and I think that's what makes this character super fun and lets an actor really explore and push themselves all over the boundaries. I mean, the departed Heath Ledger, that, you know, probably still the best one in live action to many people. He did a really good job. There was, like, this, like, constant darkness, insanity to him that he kind of let loose a little bit sometimes in explosive ways. Otherwise, he was, like, contained, this scary kind of being. but it was perfect. You could still find him. You find him scary and in like the perfect way, where it wasn't too much, it was enough. I'll always be partial to Mark Hamill as the Joker, and if in a different world when they would have filmed these movies, he would have been younger, so he could have done it on screen as well. God only knows. But he's amazing. He's wonderful. That voice, it will forever be the voice of the Joker. It can't not be for me, and I know that if I ever emulate a character like that, that'll just come through because I can't help it. I can't help but want to almost dedicate it to him because I think it's so perfect that there's no need for me to try to find anything else. Perfection has been found. Other versions of the character in some more recent times, of course, have been Joaquin Phoenix, and then you have a bit more of a depressed character again that is dealing with mental health issues, and again, there's stuff like the fridge scene where he just walks inside the fridge, which is just improv on the scene, and you have an actor that can develop a scene and a character like this and just kind of, I think it's the kind of film where like you kind of have to let the actor just go for it, because it's the kind of stuff it's hard to write. Like I can write a scene for a character that's a stoic asshole or stoic nice person, go down the path that I think that character will go through, but for a crazy person, quote unquote, it's hard to write that unless you're in the mental moment of it and stuff, and you can really choreograph it, I suppose. But it's the kind of stuff that I think letting the actor go explosive and have fun with that kind of thing on set and on the day and with an idea of where it's going, but let a lot of stuff be a little bit improv, stuff, or maybe not the script necessarily, but the actual like how-dos, because you get something new and fresh, and it will feel fresh. And with each take, maybe you do it like 6-4 times, and he does a different take. The person does a few different takes. You just think that, you know what, this is the take that just feels the best. And even though they're all different, we'll work around it because this just feels good. It's fresh, even though we've seen it like 4 times, but they've all been different. And I think you can really get something special by having that level of fluidity of this kind of character, where you just kind of go crazy and go have fun of it. I really like that. A great movie, great idea. We'll see if the sequel rumors of a musical Joker movie is the case. It like kind of could work, I guess, but boy, I don't know. It's exciting because Joaquin Phoenix, he's a good actor. If he signs up for it, you know you're gonna get for a good time. So we'll see. For my own sake, I'd like to mention also Cameron Monaghan, which has done a wonderful job on Gotham. Playing the character, although legally they couldn't call him that because they didn't actually have the rights to use him, the Joker, but they clearly used the Joker. He portrayed him very explosive, very Mark Hamill in my opinion, but with extra explosiveness to him, and it's just so much fun. And I mean, the guy had clearly knew what he was doing, and people agreed because his episodes are the most highest rated, like and viewed. Like you're like, oh, Cameron Monaghan's coming back, let's watch. So like, at the very least, I think that performance really put the guy on the map. I know he did maybe Shameless or something like that. I think that's the one. So, the guy's a great actor. He was in Star Wars now in the video game, and we'll see, maybe he gets a live action something. Fantastic actor. He did a wonderful job, and later on in the show, he also does a bit more held back performance, which was nice, but because he did a good job. But after what we just got, it was almost like, I kind of want that explosive energy back. The unpredictability and all that jazz was still there, but it was a bit more Heath Ledger. You kind of went from a Jack Nicholson to a Heath Ledger. So, and yes, now speaking of Jack Nicholson, I just wanted to give Cameron Monaghan some love. Another performance where it's very much the explosive type, where you're just constant highs with the character, and the lows are obviously there. By lows, I mean like performance-wise. We're not always speaking and addressing, but you're also like just having a conversation, but you're a little wacky. The voice goes up and down, but it's still a medium voice. But then you raise it a little bit and take it back down to emphasize a point, or let's say they have a bit of a tweak their voice, and then like it's like, oh baby, you don't know what I do, and then you decide to emphasize the point. So even though he's a funny little character, going for I'd kill you dead. Like you kind of lose the facade almost, but it's not a facade. It isn't. But they know how they are portrayed by people. So then you bring it back. So that kind of stuff. Mark Hamill, for example, would do that a lot in his performance voice work as the Joker. So which is really great. You really emphasize that point, and you kind of bring back that scary, because for a character like this, you want to feel the haha. You want to laugh. You want to enjoy the joke. So we close off the sadly Joker discussion. They just has to be addressed. I'm sorry. This will be called How to Act Crazy / the Joker. Jack Nicholson, great, explosive, high lows, real good. I don't even have to say more. Let's finish this off with some more discussion. So I think that you can have a very held back character, really explosive one as well. There's so many layers to this one, because crazy means so many things to different people. Because, you know, saying you're playing a stoic character, you get an idea of what that means, but saying you're playing a crazy character, that doesn't really give you anything. It gives you your idea of what that means. It doesn't mean that's the same idea what the writer thought or the director thinks. So that's where I think that this is a very hard thing to pinpoint, in my opinion, because it so goddamn matters. It is such a big difference. Like, and that's what almost a good thing, because it can give an actor so much room to work with and explore different avenues that haven't been done before in the best way. I think that you can have such a vastly different experience. Like, you could be the kind of guy who just plays crazy characters and not one could ever be the same again. Although I feel like you could fall into patterns, because like, if you ask how to play a stoic character, there's an idea of how that looks and how that feels and how that's perceived. And if I tell you now play your crazy character to your idea, that could mean my performance goes all over the place. And then the question is, that's fine, but should there be a streamline of the performance, and then there's the peaks and the important moments where the insanity happens, or is it just a zigzag the whole way through? And that matters. There's a difference there. You know, it does impact the performance, it does impact the film, and it does impact the overall character and the plot and all that stuff. And it's a very important thing to discuss with the writer, with the director. It could be several people, it could be the same person. If you're doing all three, then it's easier because you know what to expect from the performance yourself, or let's say it's easier. But if, you know, someone else wrote it, then you ask, okay, well, what exactly do you want from me? If they tell you this is exactly what I want, obviously, you know, discuss to be able to have some fluidity and level of self-input on set and all that stuff. I do think it's very important to attempt that kind of stuff. And then same thing, if it's the writer, like, what have they discussed with the director and stuff? And ultimately, I suppose that the director is the person that should have to find, and I'll say they're the one putting the whole thing together. But it doesn't matter, you know, it could have been written one way, but ultimately the vision is, like, you know, the words are written hello there, but you know, the emphasis, you know, the director thinks it's an aggressive hello there because of the context, but maybe you in the scene think it's a oh hello there, a more softer one, so forth. Again, context, the other actor playing opposite you, all the stuff, the basic stuff that you get. You don't need me to tell you. Yes, I think I've covered my idea and my opinion of it. I guess this is the end of the video, basically. I guess I'll talk a little bit about playing crazy that I've done for now. Bye if you're curious to hear about my stupid acting about it. If not, this is the video. I hope this helped at all. If not, no, it's acting with an amateur, not acting with an expert. Well, the closest thing I have to it, and the only thing I guess I have to it, is the Eric character from the Clank franchise. I have and will be playing so many different versions of this guy in his life and his ups and downs, that like he's had radical personality changes and ups and downs, and it's fun as an actor because like I can pull from like what I know the character should be and how he should behave, but then also know to go in a different direction with that information, but still keeping the essence. So it feels like a difficult task, but it's like a fun one where like you still want to feel like it's that same character, except for now they are behaving differently. Their behavior is different. And that's very interesting. With Shadows, with Legacy, we had him be this kind of mysterious, non-cooperative dude that slowly is becoming an ally, I suppose. And then, oh, you know, there he goes. He's the mastermind. He's insane. He's a bad person, and you know, he was the villain the whole time. And he's full-blown insane. He's going ups, he's going lows, he's a lot of highs in that performance specifically. There's a few lows. I definitely want to, if I ever touch that kind of thing again, I want to mix it a bit more, and it was a lot of fun. I definitely can say that that's been some of the most fun to do, because I feel like there is no wrong, and when you're acting, there is that feeling. It's like, oh, I messed up the shot. But with a character like that specifically, I feel like I don't have to feel bad about like I didn't ruin the shot. I did it the way the character would have, because there is no right way of doing it, which is kind of freeing, because that almost gives you an extra boost of confidence in your performance, or at least I feel like it is giving me in my performances. So I can just go crazy with him, and I don't have to hold back or fear that I messed it up. Or if I feel like I want to do it again, I'll obviously just cut and let's do it again. But otherwise, I feel confident in the way it feels, because that's just the character, you know. There is no wrong or right, almost. I look forward to playing more of him, and you will see more of the Eric character in the Shadow show. I think it's gonna be always a bit of a varied performance, depending on, well, not always, obviously, but encompassing the story and switch him up. And again, from like this calm agent that was a very quiet, held back person, stoic. I've been giving that example a lot today. I don't know why. Maybe because it connects on the brain. To then going this insane person that's murdering people because of his own ideals of right and wrong and justice, vengeance, all that jazz. And then hopefully going now back to that stoic character. How is that change? How does that feel? Should you keep some of that memento in there? Because it almost feels like you should keep some of that craziness in there now because you've established that and now he's adjusting. But is there a little screw loose still in there somewhere? Doing some other projects now, so that's just been a little bit of a hold again. That's just shadows for you. Like, I could totally see myself gladly playing the insane character anytime anyone wants it, because I could attempt to truly go crazy. And to be fair, I don't mind playing any role. I've come to the conclusion that I just enjoy doing it. But with this kind of characters, I truly feel like it's the kind of stuff where I did not tell the director, hey, what is it you want? Okay, I'll do that, but while we're there, let me go. Like, don't hold me on a leash, and let's see what we get. And if you absolutely hate it, we deal with it. But otherwise, let me go wild and let's see what we get. Talking about that as well. So if you get to stay along for a little extra bit here, thank you. I'll see you guys in the next Acting of an Amateur, whatever that may be. You're welcome to ask me to talk bullshit about something that I obviously don't know anything about, and I'll do my best to talk about it in my quote-unquote useless opinion. So it's not quote-unquote, it is a useless opinion. But if there's anything specifically you'd like me to discuss when it comes to this little realm, I'd be more than happy to address and talk and see if I have anything to say at all. If I don't, I don't. So there's that. Thank you again for watching. Have a lovely day.
This is in David's room, so this is an indicator that he knows what he's talking about. Can you see what this is?